realm of the psyche you might be in, all of them have as their foundation the basic fact of awareness. Awareness is that which is illuminating your entire experience of the psyche, right? So it's not what arises in the psyche, it's not an image, it's not an idea, it's not even an archetype. It's something more essential, more foundational, you could say. So that's explanation. Often we have a sort of, not that we have to have, but we often have a sort of intellectual understanding, at least of this phase, because you can have a intellectual understanding, let's say. Not that it does you a lot of good, but you can have it anyway. Right? And then you can see it at a certain, I don't mean see it like you can see your hand in front of your face, but it's like you can, at some point you can look within and you can see from your own experience, yes, I see in some manner that awareness is the foundation of every experience. Now, because you see it doesn't mean you realize it, right? Because you can see it and still be firmly entrenched in the ego position, but still seeing it is better than not seeing it, right? To see it in a certain sense is like, oh yeah, there's a certain kind of experiential understanding. And then there's realizing it. And realizing it is different from understanding it. It's different from seeing it. It's being it, right? It's being it. The direct, for lack of a better word, experience of being the essential, of being awareness, let's say. Some of you have probably heard me talk about this sort of stage of realization. If you've come to this stage of realization, then, which is sort of the most elementary, I guess you'd say, you kind of start to experience at some point, you get the world down to what I call a nice, manageable duality. Do you know? Like, you're pure awareness of everything else, right? Whether it's your inner world of thoughts and ideas and beliefs and opinions and images and memories, you're the awareness of all those. You're not really, none of those actually contain and are proper definitions of what you are. They're there, they exist. In an ultimate sense, they're not apart from you because, of course, they're arising with an awareness to begin with. So they're not really, it's a paradox. They're not apart and they are apart, both at the same time. In the same ways as if you can see a thought arising, the mere fact that you can see a thought arising, it's sort of apart from you in the sense that you can notice it. But it's not apart from you in the sense that it's arising within you, right? It's arising within your awareness. So it both is and isn't apart. So you get the world down to a nice manageable duality, which initially feels swimmingly good, because it's nice not to be you. Right? It's like, it's really, really nice. Even if you like you, right? Even if you don't have like a bad self-concept or image or things, it's a delight not to be you. It's a delight not to be the you that you don't like, and it's a delight not to be the you that you do like, right? It doesn't really matter one way or the other, But there's a limitation on it. Right. Number one, at least at this phase, it's still a duality. There's obvious duality happening here, right? Because there's something you are as opposed to something you aren't. Right. Most initial spiritual teachings are aiming at this in some manner or another. Right. That's why all the practice of that are in essence trying to tease apart awareness and what's within awareness. Or what I like to sometimes call it is simply the content and the context. You could think of awareness as the context in which all the content of experience and perception play out in. But it's not a final destination. When you realize it, it will kind of feel temporarily like a final destination. But the deeper realization, in Zen, we might call this seeing your true face. And seeing your true face, it's different than just the essential, just the absolute emptiness of pure awareness. It's when everything you look at is somehow intimately you. So you're not just looking at a tree. It's more like the tree is encountering itself. It's not you looking at the world. The world is encountering itself. The world is aware of itself through you. When the Buddha had his awakening, he is said to have proclaimed, although I'm quite certain this is a sort of mythic representation, but I and all beings and all things everywhere have simultaneously realized great liberation. Now that confuses people because it's really hard for the Western mind to get it through our thick skulls that statements like that are statements that are trying to represent realization. They're not philosophical or metaphysical statements, right? And we're so ingrained to think that a statement has to make some sort of objective sense, right? And we miss that a lot of, at least in deeper forms of spirituality, the statements that are made are representations of an actual state of realization. That's different than a sort of philosophy or metaphysics about life or about spirit. Then, of course, there's a kind of collapsing of awareness into the relative world. Awareness is no longer in this position of being apart from anything. The awakened stance of awareness sort of collapses into the relative world of things. And it doesn't collapse in the relative world of things in the conventional way where we just sort of become re-identified in a limited way. But we no longer experience the world to be apart from us, right? Or other beings, right?